So again, welcome to the Reed and Christine Halliday Lecture Series. Our speaker today is Tyler Dabo. And since coming to Utah to play college football and baseball, Tyler Dabo has earned a marketing and advertising degree from Brigham Young University. He's owned his own sales and marketing company, worked as advertising director at Utah Business, and led the magazine to some of its highest revenue years to date. As publisher of Utah Business, Dabo continues to lead the magazine in its mission to inform, educate, and connect businesses and people in Utah. This year, Utah Business is celebrating its 25th anniversary in publishing as the state's only business magazine. Dabo believes in learning, growing, competing, and bringing passion to everything he does. Excellence, Dabo says, takes constancy of effort and recognition that there is always room for improvement. Please join me in welcoming Tyler Dabo.
Thank you. So I had a chance just a couple days ago to review on YouTube some of these lecture series from last semester, and I saw a lot of the people that had been invited, and I said, well, why do you want me to come and what do I have to give, or what do I have to teach some of the business students? And some of the points that were actually given were validating some of the points that I will share today. But it's an honor to be here with you guys today and potentially give you some words of advice. Having really be similar, only been a few years out of college, I think I have that experience that can help you guys in your efforts and in your future in the next few years of some of the decisions that you'll be making. As you look at life is really a period of time, and in time there are decisions and choices that are made. And if you look back at where you are today, here in the seat, and where I am today, can really be attributed to specific decisions that one make in their life. And some decisions and who we are today specifically, you can relate to the type of person that you are. And who we become are based off of the decisions that we will make as well. And as we look back at the decisions that we've made, and really kind of, if you think about it, where we are specifically today, you can attribute, hey, not only did I choose to come to UVU, but it could have been different than that. It could have been your aspirations for education. It could have been other decisions that you made that really help you not only become where you are today, but also who you are. And as I look back at those decisions in my own life, I look back at a few decisions that were really integral in who I am and where I am today. And I'd like to talk about two of them. And one experience was my freshman year down at actually Dixie College. I was playing football, and my intent when going to Dixie was not just to play football, was actually to go play baseball too, even though I didn't have a scholarship or I wasn't on the team currently, but I knew I wanted to go try out. And so during football practice, I could see the start of baseball practice happening and people coming to this. I mean, really the fields were really close, right across the street. And so one day I said, if I don't do it sooner or later, then the time's going to pass by. I won't have that opportunity. So after football practice, I went over middle of the baseball practice. I think they were taking infield, outfield, or even batting practice. And I talked to one of the players. I said, hey, is coach around? Could I talk to the coach? So the coach came to me and he said, yeah, what can I do for you? And I said, well, I want to try out. And he looked at me with this blank stare like I was just, I was stupid. He said, sorry, but, tryouts were like 3 weeks ago. And I'm like, what can I say really quick well, I'm playing football, and I thought I'd just come by. And he's like, okay, well, what position do you play? And I said, I pitch. And he said, okay, well, can you pitch right now? And I said, sure. So I slipped on my cleats, walked over to the bullpen. He got a catcher to come. He brought his younger brother, who was the pitching coach at the time, to get the radar gun behind the catcher, right, to see how fast I was throwing. And after about 15 pitches, he's like, all right. He's like, come out in January when you're done with football. And as I look at that decision to really take the risk, kind of leave myself open for failure, it really did change the outcome of who I am today and where I am today. Later getting not only a double scholarship to kind of pay my full tuition and out-of-state tuition coming from California. Coming back to my sophomore year, getting the full ride, and then getting a scholarship to play for BYU and playing my last 2 years there, getting my education at BYU, and marriage, all of those things, really happened based off of, I believe, one of those decision trees, right? If you look at those moments of where you can go this way or this way, and that was one of those decision trees. The second decision that I'd like to share with you guys is about 3 years after graduation. I was in my first 3 years of experience out in the workforce. I was with a company that had made some decisions that directly affected my compensation. I was in a sales position with a base plus a salary, base plus a commission, and they made some really changes to that compensation plan. And I told my senior executives, my vice president, my president of my division, I said, hey, just so you know, based off of these changes, and looking back on it, I was probably pretty stupid, but I said, just so you know, I'm looking for another job. And they said, whoa, wait a second. We want to keep you. What can we do to keep you? And I said, well, if you're making the decision now for the whole company and you're going to keep me and keep my compensation plan the way that it is, that's a little awkward, for one. And two, I think that in the future it's going to go back to that way anyways. So I kept my eyes open. And I had an opportunity with a company called Stryker Endoscopy. It's a very multi-billion-dollar not pharmaceutical, medical device sales company, which was an avenue that I thought would be of great interest, right? Pharmaceutical, medical device company would be great. More money, and better potential for career in my sales career, but really what I felt that it was lacking was a little bit of that opportunity, the potential, the learning of what I could learn. I didn't want to just take one sales position to upgrade to another a higher paying sales position and just kind of hop back and forth. And so I declined the offer, and 2 weeks later I got a call from the previous publisher to Utah Business Magazine, who had interviewed me a year before and said, we have an opening for our advertising director position. I want you on my team. And so after a little bit of negotiation and talks, I made that leap from where I was to the position at Utah Business, and actually it was less money, but what I saw, less money in terms of my base salary, but more opportunity and what I felt more passion. It was a local company, had some good strength of brand, and somewhere where I felt like I could grow and where there was potential, and I could meet with local business leaders and owners and kind of build my network here in the state of Utah. And really that decision to take the right move over more money was really one of those decision trees again. So taking back these two points, I think the takeaways are really, don't be afraid to fail, take risks, and then also make sure you take calculated decisions when it comes to your career and the decisions that you'll be making that will really change your life. And so thinking about not just money and wanting that bigger, better paycheck, but also what you will be learning and the passion and the opportunity. A little bit about me. I grew up in a little town called Hollister, California. Came out, again, like I said, to Dixie to play football and then baseball. Graduated from BYU, marketing and advertising. And I remember my first interview after I graduated from BYU. I was pretty excited. I got my suit on, drove up from Provo, where I was living at the time, to Salt Lake. And I sat in the lobby, and there was an administrator, and the owner of the company came out, talked to the administrator real quick, and went back. And the lobby was somewhat pretty full. There was a couple other people interviewing what I felt the same position I was. And I asked the administrator when he came in, I was like, how old is this guy? And I think she said 26, 27. And I could have had two thoughts. One was, is this for real? Or, have some concern about that. Or who is he? How did he get where he was? And how can I learn from him? And when I interviewed him, I asked him those questions, and I was intrigued by how sharp he was, how intelligent, how passionate he was, and how quickly he rose from a college graduate to a sales position to running a successful company, to at least in my perception it was at the time. And that was one of those aha moments where I said, wow, I want to be like that guy, right? I don't want just a job where I can, be for the rest of my life. I don't want a job. I want an opportunity. And that really changed it. So as we look at my Utah Business Magazine and my time from when I started just almost 4 years ago at Utah Business as the advertising director, it went from really record gross of the magazine in advertising and sponsorship sales. And we have we had a great first 2007 year. 2008 was even bigger, and then the owner of the magazine, the previous publisher who hired me, he sold the company, and he sold it right after this record growth. I mean, for him, it was literally like perfect timing. We had booked so much revenue for 2008 and all the issues that we had going forward. And like I said, it couldn't have been a better time. But as I saw that, I saw, okay, well, for one, I wish he would have told me, because I would have tried to raise the capital to purchase it. And two, I felt a little bit gypped, if you will, because I felt a little bit of ownership in his success of growing the company. And I learned that, for one thing, it's great to be the owner, right? And a multi-million-dollar sale, which I mean multi-million. I think it was around $5 million, or just a little less than that. And I'll be honest, I got a $3,000 bonus after what I felt was really impressive over the last year of being there. So at the same time, I went to him and I said, thank you, because he didn't have to give me anything, right? So I was grateful for what he did, but I learned a lesson. But the opportunity came where he was transitioning, phasing out, and he recommended me as the publisher to his parent company, to the new parent company. And so shortly thereafter, I was named publisher in the middle of 2009. And this was right after, obviously, or in the middle of this down economy. And I'm sure some of you guys have been hearing a lot of what's been going on in the economy. And there are some industries that are sheltered from the downturn. Media, at least where we are, is not one of them. One of the first, as executives are looking at cutting budgets or thinning down their expense side, marketing and advertising dollars is one that is looked at as an area to cut. And so our method and our objective was to try to keep those advertising dollars. So in the midst of this recession, I was named publisher to really run the company and sustain it and grow it, which has been, challenging. But with our approach has really been to the advertisers, our loyal and long-term advertisers, has been, people advertise, companies advertise because they want new business. They want to promote themselves. They want to, create this brand recognition. So when people have an opportunity to buy, or they impulse people to buy their products and services. So our message was, now more than ever are the opportunities to advertise. This is crucial time to advertise more than ever before, to let people know that you are in business, that you are successful, and that you do want more. And so there are some that caught on to that message and others that didn't, that cut completely their budget. So over the last couple of years, we've seen a lot of change. And that's one thing that's been constant since my time at Utah Business, is that there is change. And it's been interesting to look at how we've adapted as an organization to be successful in this economy. And I think that's one thing that's very important, that I can't continue to look at, well, it's going to recover. We're going to get numbers like we got in 2007 and 2008. I have to manage the organization as if this is going to be the normal. and can we sustain ourselves, and can we grow the company to make sure that, if it doesn't recover, or if this is the new normal, then we're going to be successful. So a little bit about Utah Business Magazine. Like was said, this is our 25th year in publishing. And if you look at the demographics of who reads and who subscribes to Utah Business Magazine, 88% of our readers hold top-level management positions. So they're the presidents, the partners, the CEOs, the vice presidents, directors, upper-level management. And so as you look at our readership demographics, and if you can kind of see below our masthead, it says the magazine for decision makers. That really is our demographic of those that are reading our publication. And so we have content in our publication that helps inform, educate those readers to better serve their companies that they lead, and also connect them with other businesses in the state. So our mission is really threefold: inform, educate, and connect. And we have a few of our flagship issues. On this Darren Williams cover, one of the flagship features is to the right of him, which is the CEO of the Year. We've been doing the CEOs of the Year for quite a few years. The middle cover, which is our Fast 50, we try to extend this broad of net as we can to a lot of organizations in the state to give us their financial information, 5-year revenue, and we take the fastest growing companies on compound annual growth for 5 years. And we highlight the fastest 50 growing companies, and that's one of our flagship issues. This is actually our January issue to the right, which is our 100 most influential. And we do this probably every 5 years because it's not one that we can continue to promote. But others that you might be familiar with is our 40 under 40, best companies to work for, 30 women to watch. We do health, we have an event and a recognition program for our healthcare heroes. And so those types of flagship features are really the connecting part, helping people know like what company is doing what, how they're doing it, and promoting really those companies. There's 3 pillars to our business in publishing. Really, print is one, electronic advertising, daily newsletters, our website is another form of revenue, and our third pillar is our event sponsorship. So advertisers, instead of just being in a publication and being in print, we can add print and online. We can add print, online, and sponsorships, which allows advertisers or companies to not only build a brand and get direct results, potential, click-through ratios on our website, but then also be able to meet face-to-face with potential clients and sponsor some of these flagship events that I've talked about. But one thing that we're planning for the future is this new media. And what we feel is going to be really revolutionary to our industry is the way that people consume content. If you think about the generation of 55, 60 years and above, where print was the way that they consumed information, and we look at today the way people consume information, it's completely different. Print is still going to be thriving for us, and we want out there to keep that image out there in the business community. But what we see is that the tablets, the reading tablets of consuming content, the iPads, the Androids, the Nook, the Amazon one, the Kindle, right? So consuming information is going to be different. And so our approach to this is really planning to enter into this digital publishing. And what I mean by digital, it's not taking your magazine and doing a screenshot or a PDF, running a PDF of your magazine online. It's really enhanced content. So if you look at, we sat down with Darren Williams, we could have a video interview, we could embed that right inside that application on the iPad. If you look at the Fast 50, we sat down with 50 CEOs and had direct interviews with them. We can embed that information, content, right inside of the digital edition to Utah Business Magazine. So we feel that there's monetization opportunity as well, not only from the advertising point, but different ways that we've monetized our content in the past. So we're excited about that future. If looking at kind of shifting a little bit about some of the successful points that I think I've learned in a short period of time is having student mentality in business, and starts with a good attitude. I think if we go into a business and know that we're really being humble that, hey, I have a lot to learn, I think that's important key. And learning from everyone around you, from the person that is in your specific similar position, from the one that might be supporting you, to also one that's above you, and maybe even jumping a step that's from right above you to maybe from a vice president to a senior vice president to the president to the CEO. I think we need to learn from everybody. And this whole idea of striving for excellence is important. Because really, if we're not taking steps forward every day and learning and growing, then my feeling is that we're actually taking steps backwards. My coach at BYU, my pitching coach, taught us he would teach us mental skills while we're on the mound to help us relate to specific situations if we're having challenges, to regroup. And one of the things that he talked about is in sports, the best player usually plays, right? And the best players are always working at their game. And the best players also are competing against other people on their own team in addition to competing against the opponent. So if I were to give a little bit of advice in athletics, I think that those that are, not everybody is like this in athletics, but those that have both skill as well as drive tend to excel tremendously. So in business, at Utah Business Magazine, we see a lot of successful companies, and we see also failures. And I'd ask a question: of all of the reasons why companies fail, what is the number one reason? Lack of capital? What else?
Mismanaged capital.
Mismanaged capital? Cash flow. So bringing in money, right? I like where you're going with that. It's, I would say, partially right. What else?
Lack of experience.
Lack of experience?
I'd say lack of communication.
Lack of communication?
Can't get more sales.
There we are. Lack of sales. Number one reason why companies fail. So all of your answers are right why companies fail, but the number one reason why companies fail is lack of sales. So the lifeblood, the heartbeat of every company. I'm sure in your time here in business school, you've had an opportunity to learn about the 4 Ps of marketing. Have you not? What are they? Price, promotion, I heard, product, and placement. All right, the 4 Ps. So if you look at the 4 Ps, this is really all surrounded by the middle, which is the sale. They're all supporting this order or this sale of service or product. And so in my time, I really encourage everybody to spend a few years selling something. And the reason being because of all of these skills that are learned in sales. Just a few days ago, I had an opportunity to meet with an individual who had spent over 20 years as a CPA, and I think over as a total as CPA in his experience, and as a CFO for many years for different organizations. And he told me that he's now in his position where he wanted to really take some time and be more flexible, where he's more of a CFO for hire. So he's having to sell his services to organizations of why they need to use him. And he says, you know, before when I first started, I always looked down on salespeople, thinking that they, you know, were just salespeople. But now having to actually do it, I'm learning things that I've never known before in my 20 plus years of experience as a CFO. And so for lack of time, I think that these are really essential skills that can be learned selling things. So a plug for potential summer sales or those types of things. I really truly believe that those things that can be learned can be beneficial for the rest of someone's career. Let me go on. So the next thing is what I feel the way that people can grow or excel and change are really based off of two things: the books that you read and the people that you meet. I like to talk about 3 books. One specifically is written by Jim Collins, who wrote Good to Great. And 2 principles in this book, he talked about getting the right people on the bus first and then looking at direction. And when I started Utah Business, I actually looked at the sales team that I had to work with, and I said, they probably wouldn't have been the people I would have hired. So over a course of 6 to 8 months, I transitioned and built my own team and got the right people on the bus. A level 5 leader talks about when times are bad, level 5 leaders take responsibility. When times are good, level 5 leaders deflect the appreciation or the success. So that's a very challenging thing to do. And I would venture to say that in the state of Utah, there's a handful of level 5 leaders. So read this book, a really good book. Next one is The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. The law of empowerment. Only secure leaders give power to others. And it's an interesting concept, but as strange as it sounds, great leaders gain authority by giving it away. And if you aspire to be a great leader, you must live by the law of empowerment. And you'll see, I have a few video clips here shortly that you'll see some of these principles come to life in some of our most influential leaders in the state of Utah. John Adams, a book that I'm actually currently reading, is exceptional. But he said, upon common theaters, indeed the applauses of the audience is of more importance to the actors than their own approbation. But upon the stage of life, while conscience claps, let the world hiss. On the contrary, if conscience disapproves, the loudest applauses of the world are of little value. What does this teach us? Do the right thing. Business ethics, honesty. You want to be able to go to sleep at night and go to sleep knowing that you've made the right decisions. People. Business is really all about relationships. And in my experience, people do business with who they like and who they trust. A senior executive over at Big D Construction, who's actually building your science building, told me because of a great relationship that he had this last year with the president or the regional president of Coca-Cola here in Utah, came to him and said, I'm going to use you to build my extension, my $30 million extension to our plant. I'm not going to bid it out to any other contractor, to you. Let's just talk about it. Let's negotiate it. $30 million job, won specifically because of trust and because of a relationship. Level 5 relationships. So that we know that an acquaintance is one level of relationship. A level 5 relationship is one that you can call in the middle of the night and say, I need some help on my payroll, or I need help. So if you look at your sphere of influence or your network, you really need to look at building level 5 relationships. And I think in relationships, it's not about you, it's about the other person. How can you create value for others? So in my experience as well, my short experience, I've had a few clients or relationships that have really proven not only profitable, but beneficial to me personally too. And one of them is Larry Olson with Les Olson Company. He told me one time, he's like, Tyler, as long as you're there, I'm going to advertise in everything that you do, as long as you're there. Now, I want him to be loyal to the product, but he's also loyal to me. And in a time where we were sitting down after a golf tournament, him and the president of Big D Construction was sitting next to him as well, and he's like, well, why don't we all just take our advertising dollars away from Tyler and see what, and you know what? I know that I would be the last person that both of those organizations choose before they cut. We would be the last person to cut. It's about the relationship. And if you can build loyalty, that's where you build loyalty as well. So over the course of my experience and my opportunities, I get to meet with a lot of cool people and a lot of cool business leaders and influential leaders. Like our cover said in January, 100 most influential. We had an opportunity to sit down with 12 of them and get to know them, ask them questions, and actually do some video interviews. And I'd like to share with you a few of those today. Our first one comes from Alan Hall, the founder of MarketStar, also founder of Mercado Partners, who, if you know who Mercado Partners are, they're the ones that invested in Skull Candy here locally, and that was a big win. And also he's the chairman of Utah Technology Council. And so we're going to roll the clip on Alan Hall.
I give a class to entrepreneurs and students on the 12 key characteristics of a successful entrepreneur. And the number one characteristic I would tell you about today is they have to follow their dream. They have to go do it. And I run into way too many people who have a vision of something they want to accomplish. They've got something in mind, they've got a solution, they've got a product, whatever it is. And they don't do it. They have fear, they have barriers, they have just something that stops them from accomplishing it. And if you think about our entire life, it's about you got to take a risk, you got to jump in, you got to go do something. If you don't, it'll never happen. So my first word of counsel, in addition to a lot of other things I would tell people, is you've got to go follow your dream. You've got to pursue it. And if it doesn't happen, no problem. Go again another day. Overcome your barriers, but go pursue your dreams. So my business philosophy is really based around if you do the right things for people, never let greed enter into it at all, you get more opportunity, more chance, and you get to bless the lives of more and more people. That's the business philosophy, is that we are really stewards of somebody else's money, that we are managers of, and we never really own the money. It just kind of passes through our fingers, but we should do good with it. That's my business philosophy. Success really isn't always about possessions. I think it's more about good, solid, happy relationships. And no matter if it's an employee, or if it's a customer, or it's an investor, or it's someone else that's associated with your organization, you want to have that so everyone's happy with what's going on. You don't want to hurt anybody or harm anybody. And for me, at the end of the day, that tells me you are successful. Success is based upon those principles.
All right, so a couple of these takeaways, these lessons learned, right? Talked about, taking risks, doing the right things, doing good with what you are given, and success equals good, solid relationships. I think a lot of the points that I've talked about a little bit today. The next clip I'd like you guys to hear is the CEO of United Way of Salt Lake, Deborah Bale, and we can roll that clip as well.
Was with the Salt Lake Chamber of Commerce for 20 years, and the foundation of who I am today, I think I formed there. And I was able to see so many different leaders in our community through my position there. And I learned what I thought were good leadership qualities as well as bad leadership qualities. And so I would have to say that my years at the Chamber really helped me develop who and what I wanted to be as far as my leadership. The advice that I would give to somebody who's just starting out is to work hard, but play hard, to have a sense of humor, to be able to laugh at yourself, not take yourself or anybody else too seriously, and learn as much as you can about the organization that you work for, about the job that you're in, and always do more than is expected. I'm also very passionate about developing women in leadership positions and have had a number of roles and continue to work to provide opportunities and counsel to younger women and help them to be leaders, because I think we need more women leaders in our community because they bring a different flavor, but one that's just as important as the men do.
Okay, quick little takeaways from Deborah. Student mentality, right? Learn as much as you can. Do more than is expected, and her passion for women in leadership. We're going to go on to the next one real quick here too as well. Patrick Byrne, CEO of Overstock.com, and his lessons learned. Sorry, I'm probably going through these pretty quickly, but if you can get that one in a roll.
I consider employment a success. I'm super proud of the fact that we have over 1,500 employees now, all of them in Utah. I hope not too long it's 2,000 employees, all of them in Utah. Pick your jobs, your first 1 or 2 jobs, not based on how much you're going to get paid, but on how much you're going to learn. And it's far smarter to take a job that may have a lower pay, but is really going to build your skill set. That's a much smarter thing to do than just to reach for the one that has the highest nominal paycheck. I suppose that some of my thinking is affected, I would hope it would be, by I did my doctorate in philosophy and I spent a lot of time going back and forth between philosophy and business. I do think that I have an obligation to use the means at my disposal to move the ox cart of civilization along. I seem to get involved in issues that are quite controversial, and I say controversial things. I didn't show up wanting to pick fights, but there's just a couple for the U.S. There's a couple very important issues to me. One is our capital market, which I think is corrupt, obviously, and second is education. I think they're talking about Utah or the United States. Our future standard of living is going to be determined by getting those 2 things right.
Okay. So, creating employment, being selective with your early employment decisions, and I'm actually going to skip Greg Miller. Sorry, guys, that really like Greg Miller, but we're running short on time. I can send you these links if you like to view this video, or download our iPad app in a couple weeks and you'll have them too. Jack Livengood, CEO of Big D Construction, I think has some really good things to say as well. Can you get that clip running?
I think a good leader is a person that is passionate about what they do and is really, really dedicated to making a place where people can succeed and do the best work of their careers. I think a good leader is more of a listener than a talker, and someone that is really interested in people and the dynamics of how teams work together. Oh gosh, I measure success by satisfied customers, by creating an environment where our employees can succeed, satisfied employees that love the career they're in. I measure success by teams of people that are having fun and enjoying what they're doing. And many different ways we measure success, but ultimately in the construction business we also end up with a tangible monument that we've created that stands for the teamwork and all the fun that happened during the construction process. For someone that's starting out in the construction business, my advice to students, for example, is always to learn the technical stuff of the business. Get your degree on the technical side, but once you've done that, focus all of your attention and all of your skills onto the people side of the business, because this is such a people business. It's teams of people working together. It's with architects, engineers, construction managers, owners representatives, and the truly successful leaders in construction are those that can really lead a team and create collaboration and synergy out of a group of people. And I always tell our young guys to focus on that people side of the business.
So CEO of Big D Construction, Jack Livengood, had some really good points, talked about passion a listener. Good leaders are passionate. Good leaders are listeners, interested in people. And obviously that focus and attention on people is important. I'm going to skip Amy Anderson as well and get to my last slide. So I feel like I have one of the coolest jobs in the state of Utah, which is to really get my finger on the pulse of what's going on in the economy, but also get to know some of these really good, influential leaders. And, a lot of people ask me, well, over a lot of the people that you've talked to, what are some of those traits, right? What do you see in these great leaders? And these would be my 5 right here, which is they're really good people. They're fun to be around, and they care about others. They give back. And good leaders can take a 1,000-foot approach on their organization and see where they're at, look where they want to go, and that gap of how to get there. So they can see that vision of where they're taking the company, very decisive, passionate, and the drive to be able to get from where they are and the vision of where they want to be, the drive to make that happen. And these are really the takeaways I think we can have from not only those clips, but from this presentation today. So again, thank you for letting me take some time, and I'll leave it open for you guys for any questions that you have, if there are any.
How are you able to monetize this new digital media? How's that working? Are you kind of inventing it as you go? How's that working?
Well, before, in regular online advertising, you see banners, right? And they rotate, and banners cannot sustain an organization through just banner ad sales unless you're Google, right? Or you do something else. But for Utah Business, the way that we're going to monetize the digital edition is like we do in print. So we're going to have space dedicated specifically to ads throughout the digital experience of reading our publication. And so advertisers can not only track how many people seeing their ad in their print, in the digital format, but then they can have creative applications directly inside their app. So if they want to put in video from their TV ad that they run, they can embed the video for an extra cost. If they want to do swapping out content or interactive, or putting inside a mortgage calculator, or putting inside a retirement calculator, if it's Northwestern Mutual. So a lot of those different applications, not only we're going to charge for the space of the ad, but we're also going to charge for the add-ons to those different applications. And that's one aspect. The other aspect is subscription. So it's going to give us a larger audience, and our cost of print is nothing. We don't print anything. So the cost to deliver is virtually nothing. So those are some things. Good question. Any questions? Oh, right here.
Do you guys use like a web analytics solution, or?
Currently for our website? Yeah.
What one are you guys using?
Our platform that we use is through our parent company now, which is Media One, who owns the Salt Lake Tribune and the Deseret News. And so they're on the Omniture platform. Mm-hmm.
Got a question about your baseball experience.
Baseball, yeah.
With the coach letting you on the team after tryouts were already over,
Uh-huh.
how did you interact with the team, and did you bring some of the traits from your experience with your coach at Dixie College to coaching at BYU?
Good questions. So I think transitioning into the team was fairly, I think it was fairly smooth because they knew that I was playing football. So it wasn't someone that just came onto the team. But an interesting experience is when I came back a few years later for my sophomore season, and we had a team meeting with all the recruits and all the guys that were wanting to try out. And this is not just to tout myself, but I thought it was interesting of how that all occurred in that risk to take. He said, while he's speaking to the whole team, he said, there's only been one person in my 7 years here as the coach that has walked onto our team. So we really deflated all of the guys that were in the room to try out. But the coach that I had down at Dixie was the best coach. I mean, don't let this leak out to be like, no, he really was. He was the best coach I've ever had. And so understanding how his coaching mentality was, I think I took the way that what he taught me and applied it. And I think hopefully too, to our team, not just coaching up to my coach, but also to my team, it was very valuable. Dixie was one of the, and is, not now, but has been one of the most successful baseball programs in the state, and was a great experience.
Seems like with your experience with the magazine, you've had an opportunity to meet a lot of influential people.
Mm-hmm.
How have you been able to maintain that network? After you met, for example, Greg Miller, how do you maintain any of these people? How do you maintain a network with those people?
Yeah, there's a few of them that you just connect with before, right? And so when we sit down for an interview and we talk to them, I want to follow up and selfishly, I want to pick their brain. I don't want just to publish what we have in the magazine, but I have a chance now to go circle back and ask him direct questions, what I'm experiencing as a leader in my organization, and aspects that they can help me more as a mentor. So it's making sure to follow up with those interviews and those people that I've connected with. So.
Well, I've noticed that a lot of companies are coming to Utah, like Goldman Sachs and Adobe. Do you think more companies like those are going to be shifting more like to Utah than to other places that don't have like an income tax like Utah does?
Yeah, I think our state and the Governor's Office of Economic Development do a tremendous job recruiting companies to the state of Utah. The tax incentives that they provide to Goldman and Procter & Gamble, eBay, Adobe, make it just really a hot spot for companies. And if you look at over the last 10 years, the companies that have migrated to the pool of talent that they have here is one, but then the tax benefits, the cost of living are really just, great positions for them to not only relocate potential branches to Utah, but actually headquarter their company in Utah. We're seeing that more and more. So I think we're almost, a couple other questions? If not.
What approach do you guys take in the way of generating new clients?
Well, we look at our demographics of Utah Business Magazine, who our readers are, and then we look at all of the companies, both B2B and business to consumer clients that want to get to those people, right? So what we do at Utah Business is we provide, what our pitch is we provide access for companies in the state of Utah to the most influential people in the state of Utah. And what I like to say, because they're decision makers, they have the power to sign the check. They have the power to say yes. So as we look at who to go after, we look at our readers and then go after the people that want to be in front of those people. So if it's accounting firms, if it's law firms, professional services, banking, loans, SBA loans, if you look at builders, commercial builders, office copiers, telephone services, all those things that it take for a company to move forward or to survive, that's kind of how we wrap it. And also the consumer side, we look at our median household income. Our median household income of our readers is between $150,000 and $220,000 a year. So on the consumer side, an OC Tanner, a Lexus dealership, a BMW. So those that want to get in front of those readers. It's a good question.
How do you determine who is influential? Like, what are your
Criteria? Our opinion, So it's really our opinion on it. It stems from title, but it also stems from how many boards they sit on, potential government officials and the influence they have. It was hard because obviously there's a lot in the state of Utah, so it's kind of hard to dwindle them down. But it really came down to it, that caveat of saying, well, just in our opinion, these are the 100. So.
Well, Tyler, thanks for coming today.
Thank you.
This is a token of our appreciation.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.